and make sure we bring the championship back to Houston.
Win as many games as we possibly can.
We're now hunting as opposed to being hunted.
There's no better place to play than the big leagues.
Hello and welcome to West Palm Beach for Houston Spring Training. I'm Chris Tavarez.
And I'm Jonathan Thomas. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll get you ready for the Astros 2019 season.
We're going to sit down with team president Reed Ryan. We go one-on-one with designated hitter Tyler White. We'll also introduce you to one of the newest members of this ball club and another guy who has MVP aspirations.
Now, speaking of aspirations, the Astros have plenty of big names back, and that provides some lofty expectations.
Life is pretty good
As opposed to being hunted.
Now to the players that'll try and help the Astros win that second World Series title. Alex Bregman may be one of the youngest guys on the roster, but he's also one of the most important. He's coming off a breakout season in 2018, and he may very well be the best player in the American League. The Astros aren't lacking for confidence during spring training.
We think we have a very good team, not just the infield, but all around. Altuve, Correa, Yuli is special.
I think our team is the best team, collectively, from the infielders to the outfielders, the starters, to the bullpen guys. And obviously those are pretty big names around the infield.
Despite that infield having the 2015 Rookie of the Year in Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve just 2 years removed from winning AL MVP, Alex Bregman might be the biggest name of them all this season.
We rely on him a lot. I mean, he hits in the middle of our order, plays really good defense, provides a lot of energy. You can add pretty much any superlative and feel pretty good about it. He's as important as anybody that we have.
He proved as much last year, leading the team in nearly every offensive category, including 31 home runs and 103 RBI. And with a fifth-place finish in MVP voting last season, the stage is set for a year's worth of MVP hype.
He had MVP expectations before anybody talked about it, so I don't think it'll be any different than how he showed up last year.
Nothing changes, honestly. It's the same mentality, and that mentality is win. Win as many games as we possibly can and go out there, have fun, and compete every day with the best teammates in the world and try and win another ring.
If he's able to build off last year's performance, Bregman might finish the season with more hardware than that.
It's no secret the Astros have...
I'm ready to go.
Tyler White might not be as heralded as Bregman or Bradley, but after bouncing between AAA and the Astros for the past 3 seasons, he figures to play a pretty prominent role with Houston this year as the team's primary designated hitter. I asked him what the emotions are like towards the end of spring training as they get ready for opening day.
It's time to up the intensity. Spring training is coming to an end, and that's when you really want to lock it in for the season. So I think we've had a really good spring. I think the intensity level's been good. The swings have been good. It's been a solid spring so far, and it's time to up the intensity and get ready for first day.
I got to imagine spring training is a bit of a roller coaster, much like the season. You're excited to finally get out here once you first report, and then you kind of hit the dog days, and then you get excited again because the season's actually coming. How do you try and maintain a steady state throughout all those roller coaster of emotions?
Yeah, I think it's just you're trying to get your work in. You're trying to get yourself as ready for the season as you can, and just continue to work on the things that you maybe struggled with last year, and also continue to get better at the things you did well last year. And I think that's the thing that you have to keep on your mind the entire spring. This is for you to get better and for you to be the best player you can be during the season.
So what were some of your focuses during the spring training, and what are you expecting from yourself come season?
Just to continue to be a consistent hitter, to get a little bit better as far as that goes, trying to have good at-bats day in and day out, at-bat to at-bat, make adjustments when needed, and just to get my timing right. That's the biggest thing. Not seeing live pitching for a while, it's a lot different than hitting in the off season. So you want to continue to get your timing right and just go out and get defensively, get ready, and get your timing right at the plate.
We've talked a lot to A.J. Hinch and multiple players throughout the organization in the minors and the bigs, talking about how important utility guys are. Guys who can play more than one position, can be counted on to do multiple things. And that's kind of the perfect role that you embody. How do you see yourself in this 25-man roster for the Astros?
Yeah, I just try to do whatever they need that day. And last year it was a lot of DHing, a little bit of first base, and that's that was fine with me. Anyway, I can get myself in that lineup. It's good. It's just great to be a part of this team. The team chemistry is so good, and it's just fun to go out there and play with these guys every day. And we know we got a good chance of winning that day, from the top to the bottom, pitching to the 1 through 9 to the guys on the bench. It's just a daily. We have a good chance of winning, and we go out there and we're prepared to win. And I think that's what makes this team fun.
Your three main positions, DH, and then on the corners in first and third. Is there one of those roles that you prefer to play more than the others?
Not really. Like I said, I enjoy getting in the lineup. Having my bat in the lineup is what I like to do. I like to hit, and that's the thing that I've continued to do. Try to be as versatile as possible, and to be able to go out and, like I said, play some third, play some first, and DH. And like I said, I want to get my bat in the lineup somehow, and that's what I try to do.
What's it like when you're playing on a team where it is World Series or bust? It seems like it is high-level championship expectations on this. Is it more pressure? Is it just you're going out and playing 162 games, let the chips fall where they may? How do you approach these high expectations?
Yeah, I think that comes along with our team. We have a loose team. We're real loose. Everyone gets along. We're always having fun, as you can see in the dugout, and it's the same in the clubhouse. We're having a good time. We're always joking, always having fun. But we know when to turn on the intensity. We know when to lock it in. I think that's what makes this team great. And I think that's what the expectations, we don't worry about them really. Like, we just play our loose style of baseball, and we go out there and we expect to win, but we do it in a fun way.
We're going to have plenty more from Florida coming up after the break as we sit down with Team President Reid Ryan and check in on a group of players that you don't normally hear from. Welcome back to the ballpark of the Palm Beaches, where most of the focus is understandably on all the major leaguers as they try and get ready for this upcoming season. But this is also an incredibly important month for the minor leaguers, giving a bunch of them a taste of what they're all chasing, which is a shot at life in the bigs. Life in the minor leagues is a grind.
Some days you wake up after a 14-hour bus ride just in time to get some lunch in you before a game, and you're wondering, dang, is it really that worth it?
But it's the hope of one day fulfilling a lifelong dream that helps players like Ryan Burke keep powering through.
There's some tough days that you're debating what you're doing, but then you see the long picture, and it just doesn't get much better than that.
For Josh Rojas, he got his first taste of life in the majors when he was invited to the big league camp at the start of spring training before being sent back down to the minor league camp.
It just makes you work harder. I mean, when you're that close, you want to double check everything. You want to work that much harder to sure up some things.
You know, you got to stay with it. You got to keep grinding. You've got to keep playing. You got to wait for your opportunity. Sometimes you have to push your opportunity. It's a long road to get to the big leagues. And as hard as it feels to get here, it's probably harder to stay.
That's a lesson that Brady Rogers has learned firsthand. He's been in the minors since 2012, save for 5 games in 2016 when he got his first taste of life in the show with Houston.
And that day was special, not only for myself, but for my family, for them to see me grow up and to be able to accomplish my main goal. Was pretty special, and always gives me goosebumps every time I think about it. It's definitely a long road, but at the same time, you know, it's worth it in the end when you finally make it.
There's no better place to play than the big leagues.
That's something every minor leaguer hopes to learn firsthand. Now we look at the big picture for this organization with Team President Reid Ryan, who's been with the Astros since 2013. Our conversation starts with what he was hoping this team would get out of this year's spring training.
Yeah, it's really to get the guys ready for the season. We're a veteran club, and our guys, you know, have been through this before. So it's twofold. One, get them out of Florida healthy, ready to go for opening day. But also it's a great time to audition a lot of the young talent, a lot of that talent that will be in AAA and that will be called on to come up over the course of the season, to get them accustomed to being with these guys on, you know, the big league roster and getting to perform in high leverage situations.
Everybody, hope springs eternal at the start of every season, and that's the case for everyone in baseball. But for you guys, it's a little different. And this offseason had to have felt different than the one before when you're coming off a World Series. Now you might have a little bit of a bitter taste because of the way things went in the ALCS. So what's the mood like in Florida?
So, you know, our expectations have changed. Our guys expect to be back in the World Series. They expect to be in the playoffs every year. And look, you got to play well. Things have to go your way. But they're not out anymore just saying, hey, let's have a winning season, or hey, I want to be a major league player. That was 2012, 2013. when a lot of guys were getting their first taste. This group is about winning the race of 162, which is really a marathon, and then trying to have a team within the team that can win the sprint of either a wild card, a 5 or 7 game series. And when you look at our club with Verlander and Cole at the top, in the bullpen we have, it's really finding out who's going to be the 4th and 5th starter, really probably the 5th now that we have Miley and Colin McHugh has moved back in with Verlander and Cole. That's the real, story of spring training right now.
And since you brought it up, I want to talk about that pitching rotation because, like you said, you've got your core. But looking at some of my notes, you guys are without some big names, Dallas Keuchel. But then you also you also lose Charlie Morton. You don't have Lance McCullers because of injury. How do you balance that? You have your 1 and 2 guys for sure locked up, but you're missing some guys that you've really relied on the last few years.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest question around baseball is people are saying, how are the Astros going to replace those 500 innings that those 3 guys ate up? And it's a ton of innings. But we feel like we have depth in our system. And over the course of this season, you're going to see some young players get a shot in the major leagues. Now, it's hard to replace those guys. And if some of these young guys don't do well, then there's always the trade market. So what we're talking about is options. We have options internally. We feel like we have options with guys from the bullpen, and we do believe there will be options there later in the season if we need something.
Shifting now to the position players, and the big question, I think one of the biggest things that didn't help you guys last year was injury problems. And Alex Bregman wasn't 100%. Jose Altuve playing on that bad knee. And Carlos Correa with his back missed a whole bunch of time. Those guys are all looking to be healthy this year. How important is it to have those 3 guys especially moving forward at 100%?
Well, look, the infield was banged up at the end of the year last year. But when you look at our infield with Yuli Gurriel, really Altuve at second, Correa at short, and Bregman at third, it's as good as any infield in baseball. And then you move to the outfield, and with the addition of Michael Brantley, who's been a 2-time All-Star with the Indians. Great bat-to-ball skills. You throw George Springer in the mix there, one of the game's best, an all-star. Jake Marisnick, Josh Reddick. 1, it's a great defensive outfield, but 2, it's an outfield that can put the ball in play. You're going to see that group of players really rotating between different spots in the infield and outfield and DHing. And so what I like to say is we have roster flexibility. A.J. Hinch has the ability to mix and match and keep our guys fresh, and we can beat you a lot of ways. So we think on paper we're going to score a lot of runs. We're going to have some good starting pitching. We have a strong bullpen, and we just need to go out and do it now. And so I'm looking forward to opening day. It's a lot of storylines, a lot of possibilities, and I think we're going to have a really good season this season.
We've got one more break, but when we come back, Jonathan chats with MLB.com columnist Allison Footer, and then we put a bow on things from here in West Palm Beach. Stick around.
We're back at Houston spring training.
The team that wins the World Series is usually the one that has the healthiest players.
It all gets started across the majors on opening day, Thursday, March 28th.
That's going to do it for us here in West Palm Beach on Houston Spring Training. For Jonathan Thomas, I'm Chris Tavarez. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the season.